Hi, folks. We're back. I bet you've missed us. This is football from across the pond. I've got Johnny with me, and I've got a new man. It's Sam. Nice to meet you guys.
All right, how's it going?
Nice to meet you. We're good. Good. We're week one down, and it's time to delve into the NFL. As I say, week one's done. I think out of the three of us, Johnny's the only happy person. Sam, you're a Rams fan, guessing from your handle, and I know we've had a quick chat. How did you feel about the Thursday night game?
I think, to be honest, it was a bit of an odd one. I before the season started, I'd said the Bills Rams as a Super Bowl, so this was a nice sort of, I suppose, early view of how it was going to go.
You're hoping it's not a full rehearsal, I guess.
No, I'm hoping it's not. I think there was. I think I was saying it. I think there was a level of arrogance about it. It felt a bit underprepared. There was some little things, Higbee dropping a couple of catches that were fairly straightforward. It didn't feel right, but
didn't feel like you were cooked properly. Didn't feel like maybe underprepared for it, or
yeah, a little bit. I think I think maybe there was a bit of still that Super Bowl fever, thinking, we're gonna walk this. I mean, yeah, the Bills are a top team, but we're the Super Bowl champions, sort of thing. And it did feel a bit like that. I mean, I think was it Stephon Diggs's touchdown? Our Ramsey just let him go, as if he
did. He just almost just gave up. Although Ramsey does have a bit of a history with that, but he did just seem to switch off and just let him run past him.
Yeah, I mean, Ramsey for me is one of those cornerbacks. I mean, he is arguably one of the best, or the best at the moment. But I think it's that level of arrogance where he thinks, oh well, I'll let him go because I'll eventually catch him. It'll be fine. And in this instance, he didn't. And
a couple of things, wasn't there? 31-10. I mean, as you say, the Bills are hotly tipped for the AFC Championship and straight. Everyone thinks the Bills are going to be in the next Super Bowl, and yeah, it was like an interesting Super Bowl rehearsal. But I think probably tempered from the Rams side with the first game since the Super Bowl at home, probably more of a celebration, more of a look, we're back, we're Super Bowl champions. You wonder whether or not they lost sight of the fact that this was actually, a proper game rather than a bit of a preseason warm-up intro. Look at us, we're champions. Everyone talks about Super Bowl hangovers as well. So, you got to hope with the Falcons. Are you away at the Falcons or the Falcons in SoFi?
I think we're away to the Falcons, I think.
But so you got to hope for a response there.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those games. I know that there was talk after the Bills game, I think, where the press conference is situated. The room for the press conference is right outside the Rams locker room, and apparently there was rumors going around that they could just hear McVay going absolutely nuts at them. So
I think I saw something. Somebody mentioned it was like a garage door, like just a roller door between the locker room and where the interviews were going on, and they couldn't do an interview until Sean McVay had kind of finished, literally unleashing on the team, which goes to show that he's still got the passion, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I can see as. I mean, I'm not going to say the Falcons is going to be an easy match. I mean, look at what they did this week to the Saints, nearly beating them. But I think I'd like to think that we will potentially, put up a good number of points, and hopefully the defense will stand up and bounce back win, I think.
And Johnny, for you, you're actually off to a flyer. Giants, it's a good week for New York Giants this week. Jets lost, Giants win.
Yeah, well, I didn't look at that at half time. Again, they were all looking at us and absolutely humping us, and I don't think they almost think it was too easy and didn't really try. And then Barkley had that big run, set up the touchdown, and then even though Jones threw a terrible interception beforehand and got the ball back again and scored another touchdown. I was a bit short going for the 2 points, but then I think I woke up the kids up when they scored.
I bet you woke up half the island, didn't you?
But it was great, but it was good to see a bit of fight again, and Barkley looking fit.
He looks really good. He does.
A few years ago, they wouldn't have caught him down the touchline, but again,
I did once he broke that. It's probably his longest fully padded run for a while. But I mean, he does he has maybe kind of. Do you think he's exceeded expectations of coming back? Because coming back for an injury like that, everyone thinks nah, he's never going to be that. But your O line was giving him some big holes there. So
yeah, and the
that can only bode well.
The 2-point conversion was all him though, because he did get stopped and he kept on. He got through and got in.
Yeah,
but that's if Dayball's going to do that, then you've got to go for it, And, yeah, but
coach throws you in for 2, you've got to do it. You've got to back him, haven't you?
And like you say, it's going to work sometimes. It's not going to work other times. But I say it was a game. It's almost like a football term, a game of 2 halves.
Mm-hmm. So, I know all about that from Sunday. The Niners.
That was crazy.
Crazy game. They were cruising it for half time on Sunday, and then just brain fade. As Shanahan said, it all went wrong from half time onwards. He just couldn't get them off the field in the second half. He could get giving away penalty after penalty. I think we ended up. Fortunate enough, I think the Broncos have actually just snatched the worst penalties of the week from us on Monday night, but like 12 for 106 yards. I think we had 12 for 105 or something, and we just literally gave the game back to the Bears. And the monsoon weather in Chicago certainly wasn't conducive to a decent running game or a decent game of football. But yeah, a game of 2 halves, definitely. We just completely fell apart in the second half, which. And, after the Rams losing, everyone was thinking, well, this is our chance. Open up a gap against them in the NFC West. We thought, yeah, it's great. Cardinals losing against the Chiefs. It was set up for us to win that game and take a good step forward, and we couldn't even get that done. And then shock horror of all things for Sam and I, the Seahawks managing to beat Russell Wilson on his return was nobody saw that one coming. I don't think.
Yeah, that was a absolutely baffling decision. You're paying someone £256 million or dollars, 4th and 5.
It's his bread and butter stuff, right? You've seen Russell Wilson do that for years against teams all across the NFL, but especially more likely the 49ers. He will make a 4th and 5 look easy. He'll run around, he'll keep the play going, and he'll find an open receiver. Why would you waste 20 odd seconds of play clock, then call a timeout, then not even go for the 4th and 5? Was it a 64-yard attempt in Seattle? The guy who was kicking it, I don't think he's ever made anything over 60 yards or something. And
he's done it 1 and 8.
The stats are totally against you. You go for 4th and 5 there, surely. Any team would go for 4th and 5, but any team with Russell Wilson on a $256 million, almost guaranteed for 5-year contract, first game back at Seattle, and you kind of go out with a whimper. It's
you got to hand him the ball, and the thing is, even if he doesn't make the throw, he's going to rush for 5 yards.
He's going to he's going to run around long enough to either get an open receiver or make those 4 or 5 yards on the run. It baffled you, right? It just was like brain fade on the coach's side. I don't know. It's quite odd, that was the whole point of Russell Wilson going to Denver, is he wanted the freedom, he wanted to be able to play what he does and, do those 4th and 5s and whatever. And then on the first opportunity they get, they don't even give him the ball. It made no sense.
Well, I watched the game in the Manning cast, and even like early on in the game, Peyton Manning kept going on about how they had never played any preseason games, any of the players. And you could tell because they were rusty. And I hate preseason games because there's so many injuries happen, but none of them played. So they only played together in practice. Didn't actually play on a proper field with the pads on and the hitting and all that. And it probably tell in the end. That's probably why they were maybe not confident going for it, because they were scrappy the whole game. Because if they'd been even 50% better than what they are, they would have hammered Seattle.
Yeah, they were like two fumbles. What was it? 2 fumbles on the 1 yard line, coughed the ball up.
That one at the end was just crazy. Yeah.
It's like, it's almost like Seattle knew what you were going to do. Let's do it again. And a lot of man management, a lot of game management, a lot of question marks all across the NFL though, with some of the decisions towards the end. A lot of kickers were highlighted. I know this week. I'm just reading that the Colts have waived their kicker because of his performance. So he's been waived, and the Colts are looking for a new kicker. So a lot of games.
They've got rid of Blankenship.
Yeah, they've
waived him.
That's a baffling decision.
That's crazy, isn't it?
He's one of the best kickers in the league.
Was it last year or the year before? He was, I think, in fantasy. He was top kicker in the
The year before,
he was-
last
year
year was on
before,
IR.
yeah, he was on IR. I mean, I had him in a couple of leagues. It's like he was going dead cheap in the last round. It's like, well, hang on, 2 seasons ago he was like the best kicker in the league. He's got to be all right. And then
Oh, they picked up McLaughlin, and another boy they put in the practice squad. So
yeah.
one of them
But
will be
always the
playing this weekend.
So, well, yeah, one of them's walking straight into a contract, aren't they? It's but you know, any big surprises other than the ones we've mentioned? Big shocks, big sort of unexpected wins.
I mean, for me, it's not an unexpected win. I think, but as far as an unexpected performance, the Houston Texans absolutely when I watched that, obviously watched on Red Zone, and they just seemed to look a completely different team from last year. I know they've obviously had a lot of changes and they are still in a rebuild, but that performance, I think, was for me one of the better performances of the week. I mean, you know, you can talk about the likes of Chiefs and the Bills and that, the obvious ones, but I think for me, the Texans were just, it was something different. There's something different about them, and I think they're going to be an interesting watch.
It'll be an interesting because the Texans are always one of those last ones you think of in the NFL. I don't know, you know, apologies to any Texans fans listening, but they're one of those last teams. They don't really have an identity that kind of grabs you, and you don't really think about them. But as you say, a total rebuild year expected with everything that's going on. So for them, and they weren't exactly given a lot of credit in any of the media in the lead up to the season. Everyone was kind of talking of them being, you know, getting first round draft pick next year type thing. So the fact that they've come out with a bit of something about them maybe shows that the chip on the shoulder is helping them.
Well, but they're not 20 points to 6 up. Something like that. There were 2 touchdowns clear going into the third quarter or something like that. So then Jonathan Taylor got the ball, and that was it. So
you kind of think, what were the Colts not giving you? You just got to feed that guy. Eventually, he's going to get you some.
But Ryan didn't look good. Again, Ryan looked pretty bad at some parts.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about how. So I think obviously the build-up, you had the Ryan going to the Colts and how Wentz wasn't good enough to be at the Colts, and
it's the Colts, like the first round of the Colts have picked up in the last year. You know, they're just rolling through them on a 1-year basis at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. Whereas Wentz looked pretty good for Washington, the complete opposite.
He seems to have found, he seems to have a really good rapport with Curtis Samuel already, which is quite, especially from a fantasy football perspective. I don't think many people have picked up Curtis Samuel as a.
Most people have gone Terry McLaughlin, and they've done it because they've gone with McLaughlin because, you know, giving him the big contract, so he's going to obviously get fed the ball. And now it's like, I suppose there's been a lot of left field players in fantasy that have come through for week one, and there always is. I think Sammy Watkins ended up being one of the big scorers for, you know, and you know the Packers didn't look good either.
Oh God, no, they look bad.
They didn't. I mean, kudos to Miami. You know, they've kept their run going. Patriots look like they stunk a little bit, but you know, Miami, Mike McDaniel's got his first win under his belt as well. So there's a couple of nice little stories going there. But yeah, I suppose, as you say, no real major shockers apart from the Bears 49ers. I think was probably the biggest upset.
Yeah, and the Niners have just had to put Mitchell on IR, haven't they?
Yeah, I think we signed the safety who we picked up for the last preseason game. So we picked up the Smith, I think the ex-safety, and tried out, I think, like 7 different running backs. I think Coleman was in there. I think Marlon Mack from the guy that the Texans just released. He kept tried out as well. So
yeah, he's on your practice squad now.
Is he signed? Or we just signed him to the practice squad?
Yeah,
so there you go.
We've just seen that on Twitter before we joined. It was that they'd said Marlon Mack had gone to your practice squad. So, I mean, he's not going to be one to probably take the mantle in terms of leading running back at all. But
well, your leading running back is Lance. Your second running back is Debo, and your third one's Wilson.
Yeah,
it's pretty. You know, Shanahan's no slouch when it comes to giving the ball to whoever's kind of going to get you yards. But it was quite telling that, you know, we offset our last year's third round draft pick has been waived to the Eagles, and even the one this year didn't even make the squad for the opening game. So that's either quite telling that we're going to be, you know, for a fantasy point of view, we're going to be absolutely a nightmare for anyone trying to pick a running back out of the 49ers, because who knows who's going to be suited up. Which,
Yeah, he said that a few podcasts ago. Remember, it's just
yes, we did say that don't put your money on any 49ers running back, didn't we? Yeah.
But it's just
I'm assuming you probably said the same about the Rams because I mean,
Oh,
I'm
don't even get me started on Akers. I had him one of my teams, and
Just killed me on one of my teams as well. It's like, wow.
I had Stafford and Akers in my main league, and it just no.
Akers for me. I think is I don't know. I don't know if there's obviously something going on in that maybe McVay doesn't trust him because even against the Bills, I mean, to be fair, you put Akers in at the Bills, he was going to get steamrolled anyway, and that actually did happen in a couple of the snaps that he took. But yeah, I think that's. I mean, I'm glad that we didn't get rid of because there was rumors Henderson was going to be going, so I'm glad we didn't because I think as a running back, he's a bit more of that stronger build,
Bit of a bruiser rather than.
Yeah, but he reminds me a bit of Madison in a way. He's that sort of build in terms of a runner. But yeah, he did really well. I think for most people, I think he's now tipped to be the number one running back for the Rams. But yeah, you'll probably find that a lot of people will put him in their team. and then
we'll get 3 touches next week, and Akers will come back and run over the Falcons.
Yeah. But yeah,
well, the force-fed Akers in the playoffs, remember, and he did fumble a couple of times at crucial times. So maybe he's just not done that great in the training.
Maybe. I mean, as everyone was saying, he's just coming back from an injury. He rushed back for the playoffs at the end of the year. Was it too soon? Is he still not fully there? Who knows? Maybe, as you say, McVay's not really trusting his recuperation just yet. Hard to say, but Stafford did seem to be cup heavy, I suppose.
Just a bit,
So again, blind spots.
This probably comes to the talking about the Broncos and how they didn't really look like a team that had been, in preseason throwing and playing with each other. I think you're getting that a bit with the likes of maybe Allen Robinson because I mean I'm not gonna lie, I've gone extremely heavy on him this year in fantasy, and it really hasn't paid off in week 1. But there was talk.
It's a long game.
Yeah, and there was a lot of discussion that apparently he was working really hard to. He was starting to work really hard in training. He was linking up with Stafford well, but yeah, it just seems to
didn't seem to manifest itself in the game, did it? I suppose.
Yeah, but again, it might be another bounce back week, and he pulls out a big score against the Falcons. So
exactly, and it's one of those games, and it's hard to say that any of the the surefire hits in fantasy won this week. Justin Jefferson, I think everyone knew that JJ was going to be up there, and he's proving his worth. McCaffrey seemed to be okay. Barkley, people have pulled him, but even Derrick Henry and really set the world alight. Anything like that. Kupp didn't have the greatest game. Well, I suppose for him not the greatest game, but he was certainly targeted enough. But some of those sort of early rounders didn't really shine. Is it just rust? Is it just first game of the season? Have we forgotten? Are we all kind of hype trained up and forgotten that the first game is always a bit of a car crash of rust and in forgetting how to, certain things don't work when you're up against players who are, going 100 miles an hour at you rather than practice squads and preseason games. I suppose there's a bit of that for everyone.
Well, Eckler did nothing much in Chargers either. Tony Michel was running the ball more than him. And you even had the third running back running.
It's crazy when you think about Sonny Michel. They just picked him up, didn't they? Literally as a sort of practice squad waiver.
And I was looking on Red Zone, it's like Michel's running. It's like, what the hell's happened to Eckler? I was scrolling through Twitter to find out if he's injured or anything like that.
And Najee Harris was another one, wasn't he? Yeah, he's another one.
He is injured now, though. So it's 3 to 4 weeks to be out. Yeah,
is it? I'm hearing mixed rumours. Either he's in or he's out or he's fully.
Well, he was out on a walking boot on Monday, and I think they reckon it could be 3 weeks, but they're going for like a second, third opinion, I think. So.
Yeah, just to mess with the fantasy too.
Yeah,
especially really got. Well, I mean, I think is it Warren's their backup. I mean, I don't think anyone really. I mean, either one's Snell. I think. I mean, they're in
completely
terms of
untried, right?
Core is really, really quite weak. But I mean, that was. I mean, you look at some of the. I suppose what would you class as the bigger backs. I mean, when McCaffrey got injured, there was no one really to replace him, and when Derrick Henry got injured, there was no one really to replace him. So I think there's you're lucky if, as a team, like the Niners, like the Packers, and the Vikings to a certain degree, that you can have at least one or two running backs that are, not necessarily
decent enough.
but
Decent enough, yeah.
having a decent backup.
I suppose that's true. You don't, all your eggs aren't in one basket, like the Colts, like as you say, the Titans last year when Henry was out for those weeks just fell off the rails because they are, or were a one-trick pony, and a player like that goes down and your whole game plan falls apart because it's built around him. So it's interesting to see will running backs by committee take over, and will it just end up being more of a? I mean, it already is moving towards pass-friendly league from. Since I've watched it, the change from old-fashioned leagues and actually being able to hit receivers and whatever else, that's kind of gone out of the game completely. It is definitely a quarterback and a receiver-friendly league now. It's going to keep going that way if injuries and running backs start going the way they're going.
Yeah, it's that there doesn't seem that to be that attraction towards whether it's being a running back or having a running back. It seems to be. You look at most of the teams nowadays, I think there's probably a handful which are run first now.
Mm. And you'd say Baltimore of that much, but that's only because of their quarterback rather than their running back. I don't think even Dobbins even played this week, did he?
Yeah, but look at him at the weekend. Look at his throws.
Yeah,
I had Duvernay on the bench, like 21 points. It's like,
I think he's definitely surprised everyone with those throws, and I think I know a few people that had put bets on him to get a Russian TD, and he didn't even get near.
Didn't even go anywhere near that. That's crazy to think.
Did he rush much at all in the game? Because I didn't think he did.
No,
I haven't seen the stat line, but I don't think he 3 or 4 yards max, maybe. But scrambles out, but not designated runs or anything like that. So.
But his arm looked pretty good for a change. So
yeah. Who knows? I mean, everybody had the Ravens pegged as run heavy. Now suddenly, maybe everyone needs to reassess that because you've got a decent receiving core there actually.
Yeah. Plus the fact is he's playing for a contract, is he not? So.
Well, he's on the shop window for definitely because I'm hearing rumours that he turned down 260 odd million, but because he wants the same. He wants the same as Watson. He wants the Watson contract, and
well, you
carries
don't
on playing like that
because he spent that much. He's been injured that much because he runs so much and he gets hit so much. He wants money guaranteed, so he can still play like that. And if he doesn't get to play again, he's got the money.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to be left like Jimmy G or whatever. I mean, would you just?
You don't want to sign up a 250 million contract, but it's only 40 million guaranteed and incentives and whatever else. And this season he goes down with a bad knee injury, and that's it. It's done, isn't it? So you can't, as you say, you can't knock him for wanting to take care of business side of it because it's not like the Ravens can say he's not worth it.
No. Another team will snap him up in 2 seconds, right? So.
Absolutely. If they can't work it out, he's gonna. If he hits the open market, that would be madness.
Is he not his own agent as well? He's not got an agent.
I think he's doing everything himself. He's doing the whole management and the whole lot. So it's not like he's got agent fees to worry about either.
Yeah, well then sometimes the agents are worse. So.
the wide receiver agent did all right for himself this off season.
Oh, right, he did, yeah.
Was it because of it? It was the same agent and the same stable of wide receivers. Was it a market that was almost engineered for his representatives to get paid? It's almost like that. You certainly don't think that they wanted to get traded away. So was it the agent who made those trades happen?
Yeah, probably in Philadelphia. Yeah,
so. Definitely seems like the Philly one was definitely not
because
the player's choice.
No, I think Burks was the leading receiver. I think for the Tennessee at the weekend, for wide receiver wise. I think he had like 4 receptions, 5 receptions, but still.
You don't expect your rookie, first round draft pick to be your leading receiver, do you?
That was one thing I don't know if I wouldn't say an issue, but maybe a intrigue in is that they obviously brought in Woods, and I think he only had 2 targets at the weekend.
Yeah, I think Hilliard had more targets, and he's got 2 touchdowns, so not good. But
AJ Brown did all right at Philly, though, didn't he?
Yes, but he had a good first half. I don't know if he did much in the second half. He didn't need
Not
it.
so much as didn't need it after his first half showing. So yeah, it's interesting. And how did I missed it? But how did Devontae Adams do in Vegas? Has he?
Oh, he got
Carl?
about 12 targets. 12. He got 12 catches for 100 odd yards and a touchdown or something like that.
Yeah, it was a typical Adams performance, really, wasn't it?
Typical, was it? Yeah. So yeah,
Well,
and it's not like Green Bay
got
missed
2
him. Did it?
targets, so they just completely ignored Renfrew and just went for Adams. I think Waller had one big catch in the game, but nothing really much apart from that, and it just all Adams. So.
It was Adams. So it'll be. I mean, if they carry on like that, the defenses are going to be, double teaming him all over the place.
Mhm.
Which maybe their plan, fool the defenses and then go back to Renfrew and Waller.
Hopefully.
It's one of those. I think that's going to be an interesting one to watch because Adams, he does need to be double teamed, and there is arguments to say that he should be triple teamed. But then, you put all your defenders on him, and you've got Waller there straight away. You've got Renfrew, who is a capable wide receiver.
And Brandon Bolden had a couple of catches as well, I think.
Yeah,
He was still in the league, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that, I suppose. As you're saying, AJ Brown at Philadelphia is going to be another one. I think you have to double team AJ Brown. We found that out to our costs against the Titans towards the end of the season last season when he almost ran away with the game. We just couldn't stop him on a single coverage. So the same will happen there. Those big receivers will get that extra defensive cover, and it will open it up for the wide receiver 2s and 3s on the roster that you don't really think of.
But then I think they had 4 different rushing touchdowns. Like Gainwell got one, Sanders got one, Hurts got one, and even Barton Scott got one.
Yeah, just like names that you wouldn't have.
Didn't Gainwell one as well?
Yeah, he got the third one, I think.
Yeah.
Sanders got the second, and Scott got one at the end as well.
Yeah, when you've got 3 running and all of them get a touchdown.
Yeah.
So Johnny, just going to thinking ahead for this weekend. How are you feeling about your next matchup for the Giants?
I'm not 100% sure because Baker did actually look quite good for Carolina. You know what I mean? And you've got CMC, who's had one game under his belt, so it's going to be a bit more. He still looked a bit rusty, but he had some nice touches, some nice little catches. But hopefully we can do something. But the defense did not look good in the first half, so if they start like that again, there's no way they're coming back.
Bit porous early on, but then if your row line continues to make those giant holes for Saquon to run through, you're going to be keeping them on the field a bit longer, hopefully.
Like Jones was a bit better, you had the fumble, but it was a good sack to get the ball off, and apart from that silly interception at the end, which nearly cost the game, he had one of his better games. So it does help having Barkley running like that. So if he can run like that again, it will certainly help.
So to take the pressure off him, and
So
as you say, Sam, you're looking. Go on, Johnny,
I don't think Shepard's going to be that open down the field again. So
no, probably not. Probably a bust there.
That was almost as open as the Bears receiver was across the field.
Yeah, right.
He walked in against yourself.
All right. Easy now. So we're supposed to be friends here. Let's just because you're on a 1-0, don't need to rub it in too much. And Sam, you're saying no. Well, let's just see what we talk about next Tuesday. I mean, obviously, Sam, you've got the Falcons. You're hoping for a big kickback from the Rams after the bit of a disappointing start.
Yeah, I think it'll be I mean, it's like I say, if we perform like we did against the Bills, then there's something to worry about. Then I think if we turn up even half the team we were against in the Super Bowl, well, maybe not in the lead up to the Super Bowl, we'll be absolutely fine. I think the Falcons show that although they can they can get into a good lead, they will leak points, and that's what happened obviously against the Saints. I can't see an issue. I would like to see Stafford, use his weapons a bit more. I know he has a really good connection with Kupp, but he needs to look at others because you can't just always rely on Kupp to dig you out the hole every week. It's just not gonna happen.
Eventually someone's gonna find a way to stop him, aren't they? Right?
Yeah. Or they're just gonna
it's just gonna take him out one or the other, yeah. And obviously I'm just thinking, I know Atlanta have got 2 really big, receiving weapons with London and Pitts in there, and as we mentioned earlier, Ramsey needs to have his head on a swivel and kind of be engaged all the time there, because those are big targets for Mariota to just lob the ball up to, and they'll be able to get a couple of those. Your defense needs to kind of come to the play.
Yeah,
The thing is, so Pitts didn't do much last weekend. So,
No.
But then you've got to mind the Atlanta defense is not going to be as good as the Bills.
No, there is
The
that.
pressure-
The Bills
the pressure
defense
he
did
was
look
under.
good.
And Von Miller just looked like 5 years ago he was just unstoppable. So
yeah.
you're not going to get that this weekend. So hopefully you'll get more time to maybe look somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean we have
Not to do that well though.
Bobby Wagner didn't have his best week for us. I don't think he was very quiet during the opening game. Maybe him step up this week, especially with someone like Pitts. He'll probably be able to keep an eye on him, but then also find those gaps to get to Mariota. I think Mariota had a good. He ran a few, didn't he? A few
He
rushing.
scrambled a bit, yeah.
Scrambled a bit. Scored. I've got him, and it was my only. I ended up getting lumbered, but it was him or I can't remember. But in one fantasy league, I ended up in. I was in there. I'd missed the. You were in the wrong section of the draft, and you missed the quarterback run, and then suddenly what you're left with was just not great. But yeah, I know he scored reasonably well this week. So I'm hoping maybe bump him off.
I think again, it was Ramsey's I suppose our biggest weapon in terms of the passing defense, but he played a lot in the slot he played a lot in the slot, which I thought was a bit bizarre, but he does some. McVay does like to put him in there sometimes, and I think maybe with someone like Pitts, he might want to keep Ramsey in the slot to deal with him. I think London's still got. He looked good, but I think he's still got a lot to.
He's still a rookie, isn't he? So he's still going to have to learn the bumps and get all the little tricks of getting open and staying open. I think a lot of receivers take a while to learn how that separation works and how to keep it. I think you're right with Ramsey being there. As Johnny says, hopefully your defense gets a bit more pressure on Mariota. You've got more chance of Ramsey being more of a ball hawk than in the coverage side thing, and he'll probably come to the fore on that side.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 49ers have only got a small case of the current division leaders coming to Levi Stadium in the Seahawks, which is a bit of a pain. But I'm still a bit shocked that they're 1-0, and it's a grudge match of all grudge matches. And we all thought, and Sam, I'm sure you agree with me from an NFC West perspective, we thought the Seahawks were going to be, the whipping boys of this division. We thought, rebuild and all the stuff. Yes, they've got a ton of draft picks. Yes, they offloaded Russ and whatever else, and it's a rebuilding session. Somehow they're the team with a win. I think from a 49ers perspective, we just need, first of all, hopefully it's not raining, although the weather doesn't seem so great in San Francisco for the game. But, Trey didn't look too bad. Most of the offense seemed to click as well as they could. We just need to kind of clean up that discipline. It was shocking with the amount of penalties and the amount of time that we let Chicago off the hook. So as long as we can clean that up, we should be okay. But, it's only
get Ayuk in the game. And Ayuk had two good catches early on, but then they never threw to him again the rest of the game.
Couldn't find him. Just I don't know what happened. The game plan just went a little bit off. 2 for
2 for 43 yards in that weather was pretty good, and then you just never target them again.
Yeah.
Juan Jennings had a nice game. He had 64 yards out of 4 targets. So
yeah,
but
so he spread it around a bit. But as you say, Debo is probably going to end up being our main weapon, either out of the backfield or the wide back. It's good to see he didn't, shirk away from playing wide back again after all the off-season noise.
Will Kittle be back?
Hope so. I mean, it seemed to be.
So.
Yeah, we do miss him when he doesn't play, and from a not just a blocking perspective, but just from a sheer sort of energy perspective, when he's not on the pitch, it does seem to be a little flatter than any other time when he's on there. But I think it was just a niggle. I don't think it was anything serious that kept him out, but just week one, you don't want to trial, you don't want to risk him, especially in a pitch that would look more like a swimming pool than an actual field.
Definitely, yeah.
He had a relatively bad injury last year, didn't he? Missed a fair few.
Yeah, he missed a fair few last.
Yeah,
I think it was a dodgy. It's fine. Yeah, with dodgy pass to him on a short sort of flat out, and I think Lance threw him a ball that was too high and got tackled with a straight leg. So I think he was out for a while with a knee injury. So we missed him then. So yeah, it'd be good. we do need Kittle back for it. Hopefully, as much of a season. I don't think he's starting to get that kind of rumbling of yes, he's a great tight end, but he's slightly injury prone because you don't get a full season out of him. You haven't had a full season for a while.
But when he came back, he was catching everything. He was getting like 100-yard games and catching unbelievable catches. It was unreal. But just get him on the field.
You just got to keep him there.
What is the feeling in San Fran for Trey Lance? I know last season there was a bit of murmurings that he wasn't going to be good enough.
It depends on which side of the fence you look at. At the moment, it's like social media, Twitter side of things is just either one or the other. It's like completely binary, black and white. They're all saying it was the whole reason we lost was Trey Lance's fault that weekend. I'm not sure how you can work that one. It had nothing to do with it. The offensive line wasn't great. The defense was shocking with their defensive penalties, and he did okay up in the first, as I say, first half. In the first half of the third quarter, we were fine. So you can't put it all on Trey. And then you've got everyone else clamoring, going, well, put Jimmy back in, put Jimmy back in, put Jimmy in. He's not ready. I think the UK side of it I've spoken a lot with the UK 49ers group. The guy's a rookie, in effect. He's literally a rookie. It's his first season of playing football in 2.5 years. He's going to get learning. He's going to be rusty. He's going to do things which a rookie is going to do. He's got the ceiling is there. I think you can see that from some of the plays that he did in the first. Obviously, say some of those hits to Ayuk over the middle look good. There was a couple of throws there that looked really good. So the ceiling is there. The potential is there. It's just, does he get enough time to develop and grow? Much like everyone says there's a Josh Allen-esque quality to him, but Josh Allen's first season was shocking.
Yeah.
Does Trey Lance get the same sort of time to build and grow and learn? Yes, he's had a season sitting and watching. If he can come in and do that level, then the 49ers should be okay.
Well, they're going to have to give him the chance because they've given away that much future to get him. So they are all Trey Lance. There's not much you can do about it.
There's no ifs and buts. It's not going to be like Trey. Well, it's 3 or 4 iffy games, and we'll put Jimmy in. We've given away the next 3 years of draft picks. We have to play him. He has to learn. And the only way he's going to learn is by being in there and going through stuff like the game on the weekend.
Yeah, because he's not had much of a college career, has he? So I think this is.
He had to sit. No,
in the rain, so
yeah, he had to set out his last year of college. Well, I think he played one game in the last year of college.
He's like an extra rookie because he's almost a rookie from college because he's played that level into the NFL, and it's a big step up, and he'll do well. I think it's just. Especially that system that they play. But you need Kittle there to help him. You need to spread the ball a bit more instead of just going through Debo because you're going to end up knackering Debo. Because he has health issues sometimes, so you can't. Last year was good, but he's always been injured before.
Yeah, he's always had niggles and stuff. And the more you put him in a wide back and getting out and running out of the backfield, absolutely, like all the other running backs we're talking about. So he does need to spread it around a bit. We do need to get the weapons open, but. The Shanahan offense is all about misdirection. It's all about moving people around. Maybe the weather played a part on that. You couldn't do all those motions and whatever else for the weekend because you'd end up falling over in your face because of the weather. So, he's in the right position. I think out of the rookie class of last year, he's probably got the best opportunity to succeed with what weapons he has around him. It's just, does he get the chance to? Does he give the time? And from a Niners perspective, I hope we give it to him because he is going to be there for the next 5-6 years.
Yeah, it's sort of a now or never situation, really, with a quarterback like that. I mean, it reminds me a bit with the noise that was coming out of Miami with Tua was do you not give him the chance? And yes, last year they gave him the chance, but I think this year you give him. If he can't produce for Tyreek Hill, I mean, then you've got to worry. You see, he looked okay in the first week.
Exactly. Miami are in that situation. I think they had the opportunity. A couple of quarterbacks kind of came on the market and they kind of stuck with Tua. It was like, well, this is it. Yes, they've had some issues with off-field stuff, so they've lost a couple of draft picks next year where they're almost now in a position where like you kind of are stuck with Tua now. So he's got to start performing, and they've given him enough of a sporting cast down there now got him a new a new head coach who's got the same sort of offensive mindset that Shanahan's got. He's going to bring that sort of misdirection and a load of motion and stuff down there. So it should all work out for him. And, with somebody like Tyreek Hill, if he can't get the ball in his hands, then there's going to be question marks soon enough.
Well, you've got Jalen Waddle as well. He looked good. He had a nice catch and run for the touchdown. So
yeah,
and you've got Edmonds catching the ball at the backfield. And it's a shame we don't get Gesicki more. He's more like a blocking tight end than an actual catching tight end, which is a bit crazy because he's good in the end zone. So.
Yeah, didn't they get rid of their catching tight end, didn't they?
I think
they waived him already injured. Gesicki?
No, he got one catch at the weekend for 1 yard.
They said at the start of the year that they were basically turning him into he was going to be doing more blocking than catching this year, which has really screwed me over.
Because you had it, I was like, I'll find another one.
Yeah. I mean, I have him and Irv Smith in one league, and neither of them are catching.
Oh, yeah.
Tight ends. But...
Well, you might need to be looking at the waivers on those ones pretty soon.
Well, look at Komet. He had nothing as well. Nothing where it was bad. It's just the so-called up-and-coming tight ends, Irv Smith and Komet. Smith actually catch anything, but yeah, everything went to Jefferson because he was that open.
But then that's the thing. You look at, as we're talking of like up-and-coming tight ends, I mean, Pat Fry. I'm massively big on Pat Fry.
Oh, yeah. He was great last year, yeah.
And I think with obviously them having Mitch Trubisky this year and probably looking at Kenny Pickett next year, if he does well as the backup this year, that's going to make Freiermuth quite important in that offense.
Yeah. He's going to be the automatic check down, isn't he? He's going to be, for those quarterbacks, he's going to be the first read or the second read, definitely.
Yeah, but look at the team they're going to have. They'll have Pickens, and you've got Harris, Freiermuth, even Claypool's young, Johnson's young, but again, Pickens. They're going to be a good young team if they can keep them together.
Yeah.
And their defense is good, obviously, looking at. How long is Watt out for? Is he?
He's up.
Good news. No, it's not even
IR.
6 weeks. They're saying 4 to 6 weeks. Might be back in October. I heard. I think I saw on Twitter.
Because he had an immense game before he hurt his rib. So.
Yeah, apparently it's not torn his pectoral. It's just a bad pull or something. So it's not surgery and out for the season. It seems to be weeks rather than months. So that will help them.
Good.
I think I've got him actually. Yeah, I mean, he scored me some good points on a league where I've got a whole IDP. So I was looking at, do I need to get rid of him? But he still might just be a shift him to the bench for a few weeks.
Well, one league I'm in, he scored 21 points.
Yeah,
but
it's like one of my highest scorers. Yeah,
the nearest defenders were like 10 points. 21 points is like more than like Stafford scored. Like I had 7 points in my one. I got James Cook minus 2.8 points. It's like
I had so many when I looked in. It was like I had
he will get.
I had Dobbins. I had Dobbins, and he didn't score anything, or Akers, and he's like completely not scored. It's like when your RB1 doesn't score, you're in real trouble, aren't you?
Yes.
I was shocked when I saw that Akers was down as he'd got 0 points. I was like,
what's happened?
Well, he had one catch, but it was a backward patch, so it counted as a run, and he got stuffed as soon as he caught it. So it was more of a Stafford throwing the ball away before he got killed. And he threw it to Akers, so you got bombarded.
It's like, oh, great, thanks. Yeah. Cheers, mate. Yeah, appreciate it.
Throw me under the bus, that one.
A complete hospital pass, wasn't it? Yeah.
But then look at the Jaguars. Etienne did virtually nothing.
Robinson scored.
And Robinson, and he did well. So, and Carter did well. Hall only got about 40 yards or something like that, and then Carter took over.
I think at the start of the season, I think I picked up quite a lot of Carter because there was talk. I think at one point there was talk that Breece Hall was going to be the third running back in that offense, and obviously it was all just rumor. I think he's now back up to Carter, and I mean Carter was unlucky in his first year, and this year he started off well.
I said that in the previous pods with what's Connor, because he was good last year. Just had to keep him fit. But when he was fit, he was a good running back, like for a bad team. Again, so And then they're going. I was actually surprised they took Hall because they had Carter, but obviously the two of them, you just have to get them
Together,
on the
they-
field.
It's interesting, as you say, when you talking about running backs earlier, Sam, Brees Hall was the first running back off the board and he was a second rounder.
Yeah.
That just kind of shows that sort of mentality shift. And, you always used to remember first round running backs. And the fact that, last year the first running back was a second rounder shows it all about the way that the NFL is shifting.
Yeah.
What
I mean-
round did the Chiefs get Pacheco?
Pacheco?
Yeah, because he scored a touchdown at the end as well.
Yeah, he's that training. He's the preseason training squad and the preseason game name, hasn't he? Who's come out of nowhere, the rookie that seems to have jumped on and got a roster spot. So everyone's got their eye on him. I know Edwards-Helaire managed to score 2 touchdowns, doesn't he?
They were passes, though. I think they were shovel passes.
Yeah, well, shovel pass underneath or whatever. So yeah, be interesting. So that's week 1 out of the way. So appreciate you guys jumping on for us. Good luck this weekend. I'm sure we'll be keeping fingers crossed. I'll be keeping abreast of everything, trying to hopefully see the Rams bounce back. Not too well, Sam.
Well, we'll see you all
And
next
John-
week when we're all 1-1.
We're all 1-1 next week, Johnny. I see you're keeping optimistic there, Johnny, with your Giants.
I'm a Giants fan. I'm always optimistic.
There's always you're always slightly tempered.
But it's the first time since 2016 we've had a winning record at all. So can
you stop the
you got
season
to
right
enjoy
now?
it for a week,
Brilliant, guys. Appreciate your time. Thanks very much for joining.
Good
Cheers.
luck.